like falling deeper. Cold nights 난 너무 싫어. 기다리기에는 너무 길어.
Okay. Hello, Chingus. I know it's been a long time since we've had a podcast, since we've had an episode. It's a little hard for me to get on to the website to actually upload. Writing takes a while, and it also takes and even longer for me to record and edit than upload the video for my podcast. So that's why I usually only do it during breaks. So for today's song of the day, it's actually going to be Crush. All right, so that is Wonder Ego by Crush. Crush is one of my ultimate favorite musicians. I absolutely adore his music. He is one of those musicians that I consider to be singers of my soul. Him and Ed Sheeran really fit that category for me. They speak to me. They speak to my soul. And he's got some great songs. His entire album, Wonder Ego, is literally one of the best albums I've ever heard, rivaled by his fellow Korean R&B producer, Code Kunst. His album for, I think it's called The Attic. I don't quite remember it at the moment. So yeah, great musician. Love his music. Even his early music from the early 2010s. Great music there. Another song I really love from him is called Lay Your Head on Me. And I don't really remember if I've played that for you guys or not. But if I haven't, please go give it a listen, because great song. Lay Your Head on Me. Anyway. On to my reviews, because that's basically all we're here for, isn't it, Chingu? Is my reviews, and that's basically the whole basis for this channel. It's not for me to gush about my favorite artist, Crush, but for me and you guys to have a conversation about some dramas that have come out recently. Unfortunately, a couple of the dramas that I'm going to be mentioning have long since finished. One of them is made in Korea. The other one is Surely Tomorrow. Both of those finished at least 2 to 3 months ago. So Surely Tomorrow ended in January. So it's been a minute, like I said. And Made in Korea finished again in January. So two of these, like I mentioned before, had finished a long time ago, which I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get it out, but it's just hard for me to allocate time. And that being said, let's go ahead and start with the oldest dramas, Made in Korea. Then I'll go into Surely Tomorrow, and we'll finish with the most recent that's been finished, which is Our Universe, which I have a lot to say about. Anyway, as I mentioned, Made in Korea. Wow. So I don't know what to say. Okay, I do know what to say. This drama was a great drama. Super awesome content. It was new and fresh, and something not a genre I typically lean toward, only due to the fact that it's not what I look for typically when I want to watch dramas. I usually go for the lighter hearted ones because, escapism is a thing, and I like escapism. But this time around, I decided to give it a chance, mainly because I absolutely adore Hyunbin. I've loved him for a very long time, and the extremely successful drama Crash Landing on You made me fall in love with him even more, and I just love his entire outlook on life and how he just likes to keep everything, his private life private, work life work. And I just admire that greatly. I love that him and Son Ye Jin actually got married, who was his co-star in Crash Landing on You, and they have a kid now. It's so cute. Anyway, this was his comeback from a leave of absence, which can't blame him for. I was a little sad, but can't blame him for. Gotta let him live his life. And so that's the reason why I decided to pick it up. It also didn't hurt that I also heard that Woo Do-hwan was also going to be in the drama. Now, I didn't know where, how, or why Woo Do-hwan was going to be in the drama, but oh my gosh, I love that man. I love him so much. I'm so attracted to him, and he is a decent actor. And I wouldn't say he's the greatest. Greatest. He is definitely not the greatest actor, but I enjoy his performances. I also enjoy just kind of staring at him, but I enjoy his performances aside from that. And knowing that he was going to be in the drama with Hyunbin, and I was like, oh my gosh, my two babes, my two men are going to be in the same drama together. So I was fangirling a bit. And I said, I'm gonna watch that thing. So watched it. I did. It did take me a couple times to watch it, and that is not because it is a bad drama. It is because it is heavy. This is not a lighthearted drama, something to watch for escapism. This is some pretty heavy stuff. And I think I appreciated it because of that, because I think I needed a step back from my typical drama because they have been running me up the wall lately. Which is a problem in itself, and you gotta thank Netflix for that. Sorry, Netflix. I know you're doing great things. I know you're promoting Korean culture and Korean dramas and whatnot, but you've ruined dramas also. Like when dramas became more popularized and more global, they lost that certain essence that I really loved, which is a shame because I loved dramas for the sake of what it was. They were unique. The storytelling was great. The action was good. It's just lately the formulas have just been way too formulaed. They've been followed to a T, and it's made me a little tired of the redundancy and the fight for a really good drama like Crash Landing on You, because we've had some great successes like Crash Landing on You. But the thing is with those dramas, a lot of writers got to realize they told the story. They didn't try and reinvent things. They followed a trajectory, which is something that has been really lacking lately because every writer these days is chasing that next Bloodhounds or the next Crash Landing on You or the next even Mr. Sunshine. They're all chasing that. And not every drama is going to be that way. Just tell the damn story. Anyway, that's aside from that rant. But like I said, I took a step back from my traditional normal dramas and I decided to give Made in Korea a chance. I'm really glad I did. The opening of the drama is epic. I don't know any other way to say it other than epic. It's with Hyunbin, his back to the camera, and he's just walking out, and it kind of gives me the Man from U.N.C.L.E. vibes. In fact, a lot of the drama, just in general, gave me Cold War, 1950s, 1960s kind of feel, and it's supposed to be Korea in the 70s. So it kind of made sense that it fit that Cold War 1950s, 1960s feel. So it makes sense that they made this very spy-like, almost James Bondy kind of like feel. And I loved it. I loved it. I ate it up. Oh, the editing in this, the directing was great. The storytelling was great. They weren't trying to reinvent the wheel. They weren't trying too hard to make a hit, which I appreciated. It is a slow drama though. It is very slow, and not a lot of people are going to like that, and I understand that. But my oh my, was good. I was a little disappointed though. I will say that Woo Do-hwan was not in the drama as much as I was expecting him to be, because I was expecting him to be in the drama much more. He only appears a couple of times throughout the entire series, which is a shame because, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. If you hear my air conditioner going off, I apologize. I know that is super loud. Anyway, where was I? Oh, they used his face and his name to help sell this drama. And they do that for a purpose because Woo Do-hwan has made a name for himself, at least with Bloodhounds, and he's known internationally because of Bloodhounds. So I can see why they would use him as a marketing tool, but at the same time, you're using him as a marketing tool and he's only in the drama a handful of times, which sucks for the viewers like me who tune in to see him. But then again, I wasn't only there for him, I was also there for Hyunbin, and I stuck around for the good storytelling. So yes, his appearance or lack thereof was a bit of a letdown, but as I stated, the writing was good, the acting was great. Other things that I liked about was the little real historical event inserts, like the Japanese hijacking the plane. That actually does happen in history. It was super cool to see that because I've actually heard of this, the hijacking of the plane from going from Japan to North Korea, and how the Japanese nationalists basically hijacked the plane so they can get all the way to North Korea because they wholeheartedly believed in communism. They do actually make it to North Korea, and apparently Kim Jong-un's father accepted into North Korean society. As a historian, I'm a nerd. I liked the portrayal of the good bad guy. So our protagonist is good, quote unquote, but he's also extremely bad. And a lot of the stuff that he does is what we would consider morally wrong. But because I understand, or the writing lets you understand that this is a character who's, yes, he is out for his own gain, but this is somebody that has come from poverty and he's looking to support himself as well as his family the best way he can in an extremely corrupt society. And if we're being honest, Korean society from the 1970s to the 1980s was not exactly sunshine and rainbows. It was highly corrupt, and in order to be able to survive in such society, you basically have to adapt. And he played dirty. He does play dirty. He doesn't follow the typical hero that we see today, where there's no Superman complex, there's no superhero complex. He's not looking to save the day. He's looking out for himself, sadly to say. But it's understandable why he is that way, because you see the way he lives, you see how his family is, and that they lost their parents at a very early age. So everything that they have, he's had to work for, and he's earned it by playing dirty. So he does what he can. And I understand that. That brings me to say, I've seen actually some people talking about, again, on, yes, I know this is not a great source, but Reddit, but also my drama list, and also other forums that I come across, YouTube, YouTube videos, where people start commenting on his sexuality. This man, this protagonist, knows he is hot stuff, and plus, I mean, of course he does. I mean, look at him, freaking Hyun Bin, man. Man is hot stuff. He is gorgeous. That is a DILF. Okay, he is a DILF. And boy, does he know it, and he uses it to his advantage. But he also doesn't really have a love interest. So a lot of people misinterpreted that. I think, personally, my opinion, you can say what you want, you don't have to agree with me, but my opinion is he's not necessarily asexual like a lot of people were thinking, or a lot of people were claiming. Again, this is a man who's come from nothing. He is the head of his household. His brother and his sister heavily relied on him after his mother's death, and their father died before that. So he's basically taken on a lot of the responsibility for caring for his family. He's struggling to survive in an extremely corrupt society, so he's using what he's got. He's got his looks. He's not going to be looking for love because, again, he has other priorities. His other priorities are making sure he, first and foremost, is secure and his family is secure. So he doesn't really have time to think about love, but he's going to use his looks to be able to manipulate his way around and get to where he wants. That's how I interpreted it. I did not think about any type of sexuality at all, but I do know online that is a bit of a discourse, and I personally believe that it is a misguided, misinterpreted opinion. Just putting it out there. One thing I actually did not like was the use of women as more as pawns than they are an active participant in the story, which kind of sucks, but I mean, I understand it. In the 1970s, women were not going to be able to play the major game as men were, because Korea is an extremely patriarchal society. I mean, still is fairly a patriarchal society. So I understand that women aren't going to have much of a leadership or a presence in that sense of leadership or being a player in the game as much as they would be today. But also, it's a little hard as a woman to watch. It is very much a man's world. All these women as characters, and they're being used. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My air conditioning. Moving on. So, if you are new here, you probably don't know how my sticky notes work. Basically, all is me writing down my thoughts, which is what I do when I watch these dramas. I write on sticky notes my opinions. I rate in two categories. The first category is going to be storytelling. And under storytelling, I take into account not just the acting, but the writing and the music as well, because I believe all of these go into what we see as a whole package. And that's basically the storytelling. And then the other category I talk about is direction. So direction has two things underneath it: editing and also directing. For storytelling, 80%. This was a great story. I absolutely love it. I actually would even give this an 83% if I wasn't being persnippety about the women thing, but 80 to 83% is my final evaluation for Made in Korea. And on the direction side is a 5 out of 5. I'm usually picky on this subject. I mean, I'm really picky when it comes to the acting in storytelling, but I am pretty picky when it comes to direction as well. And for me to give a 5 out of 5 is extremely rare. And I definitely did that for this drama. So, like I said, great drama, give it a try. It is slow. Warning, it is very slow. And it took me a couple of times to sit down and watch it because it's a little heavy as well. So, it's not something for everybody. And I do understand that. Moving on though. Surely Tomorrow. Oh my. So, I have quite a bit to say about this actually, because this poor thing, I actually do not believe the drama should have gotten as much hate as it does. Hot take. The drama gets a lot of hate, and it really honestly shouldn't. Sadly, most of its criticism comes from the last few episodes, and that I understand. But the total backlash that the drama got because of those last couple of episodes, I think, is a disservice to what the rest of the drama is. I know this is coming from somebody who constantly gripes about 25-21. Look, I know, I get it. I am not somebody who should be in this caboose, but I am. It's been a minute since I've been able to sit back and look at a Park Seo-joon drama and enjoy it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean because Homeboy has not been acting lately. He has been enjoying his life, which honestly understood, considering that he has come out with a couple of articles where he talked about having burnout, which totally understandable, because as an actor it must be hard to get into the life of a specific character and always having to switch from character to character and always constantly working. It's tiring. And with as many diverse characters as Park Seo-joon tends to portray, understandable. He's a great actor. I can see he puts his all into a project. And it had been about 3 years since he had been in a drama, which is sad because he's such a great actor. I think him, Ji Chang-wook, and Park Bo-gum are the 3 best actors in Hollywood. And Choi Yoo-sik are the 4 best actors in Hallyu. But that brings me into the next thing, his performance in Surely Tomorrow. A lot of people were criticizing him for his performance. And again, this is coming from places that I probably shouldn't get information from, but this is where people have conversations about these things, where people were complaining about how he portrayed his character. Oh gosh, what was his name? Lee Kyung-do? Kyung-do, yes. So portraying his character Kyung-do, he plays 2 different sides of himself, okay? He plays the extremely young, naive self, who doesn't really have a lot of experience, who is incredibly shy, who likely has never even had a girlfriend. He's 20 years old, a freshman in college. Then the other part is the older version of Lee Kyung-do, where he is in his 30s, he's tired, he's working, he's seen some stuff, and he's grown into himself a little bit more. He's changed, which, as we all do with age. Some of the ridicule I saw for him was the fact that his 20-year-old self was extremely shy and bashful when it comes to being around a girl. Look, sweethearts, if you did not pay attention to the drama, he is 20 freaking years old, okay? He is playing a 20-year-old man. Yes, he looks like a man because he is a man in his 40s, but he is playing a 20-year-old man who is new to being an adult, who is very shy, who has not really grown into himself yet. So yes, he's going to portray himself as extremely shy, especially when it comes to girls. He's going to portray himself as being a little timid. It's not because he's a bad actor. It is not because he needs to grow up. It is because he's playing a youthful version of himself. At 20 years old, I can tell you, I was not a confident person. I probably acted a little bit worse than Park Seo-joon acted in the 20-year-old version that he was acting out. That being said, get over yourselves or learn how to read a freaking drama correctly because that is just a little absurd. And also people wanting to critique him on his acting and her acting. Oh, honey, you get into a different boat, because that is a ship that's going to sink and sink fast, because their performances were fire. I have not seen performances as great as these since I watched Crash Landing on You. These were characters, real life characters with a lot of vitality and life and nuance. This is what I look for in acting. These are two people or two actors that really feed into their craft. Their facial expressions, their body language, and their silence says a lot about them as an actor. If people are misjudging that, or they miss it altogether, like they don't see it at all, I can understand that. But saying that Won Ji-yeon and Park Seo-joon totally lacked in their acting is honestly giving a disservice to the actors, because they are great actors, and I've been wanting somebody to put themselves at Park Seo-joon's level. I've been asking for a long time for Hallyu to find an actress that can play on Park Seo-joon's same level. So I actually got a little taste of it in his previous dramas with, oh gosh, what is her? Kim Ji-won. Yes. I saw it with Kim Ji-won in Fight for My Way. I saw it in Itaewon Class. That's about it. Because if we're being honest, Park Min-young, not a great actress, and the only reason why she gets so much praise for her role in What's Wrong with Secretary Kim is because of the kiss scenes. Won Ji-yeon is somebody I've been waiting for since 2020. Since then, he's not really had a partner be able to uphold themselves in the scene. It's usually just Park Seo-joon acting his butt off, and his female lead is literally like a brick wall. Yeah, this Won Ji-yeon was great at acting and playing with him and interacting with him, and it's just, I've been looking for somebody to play on the same level as him, and I'm very happy that I finally got it with Won Ji-yeon. That being said, I think the discourse about their acting needs to really be revisited and relooked at, or if you were one of the ones that mentioned their acting, you should probably revisit the drama. Now that brings me to the story though. So I did mention before that this is kind of like a 25-21 issue, where you have an extremely great drama, you have this buildup of a relationship, only for it to kind of really be bombed at the station, and the train becoming completely derailed, which sucks for the story, and it sucks for the audience who invested in this relationship, but that should not reflect on the overall experience. I know I'm such a hypocrite because I say the same exact thing for 25-21, but look, the critique is the same. If they wanted this drama to be much better, because it did have extremely high ratings toward the beginning, the middle, and a little bit toward the end, but where it started crashing and burning was those last couple of episodes. And because those last couple of episodes, the ratings for the drama just collapsed. It was trash. The same thing happened with 25-21. Why would you build up a relationship so much only to destroy it within the last couple of episodes? Because you need to hit all of those K-drama cliche boxes. One of those at the top is breakup scene. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Not every drama needs a breakup scene. As proven in Idol Eye. I'll just use Idol Eye as an example. There's other examples I could use, but they're not coming to my brain right now. But there are a few dramas that don't have that quote-unquote typical breakup scene, and it's refreshing. Surely Tomorrow was a drama that I highly anticipated to kind of tear down all of those K-drama cliches that I've been complaining about. That being the overly nosy people who have their hearts in the right place but really shouldn't be sticking their nose in other people's business, thus leading to miscommunication and one of the people in the relationship ending the relationship for the greater good of their significant other, right? Okay. That's one cliche that they totally sailed away from. The moment came and I literally started rolling my eyes, and then they totally sailed past it. I could not tell you how happy I was about that. Oh, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this drama is going to be revolutionary. Anyway, moving past that one. Okay, that cliche was thrown out the window, thankfully. Oh, the other cliche being one of the couple breaking up with the other because of the greater good of the other person, letting them follow their dreams or do whatever they need to and breaking up with them. Again, you don't have to break up with somebody in order for them to follow their dreams. And even in a lot of the cases in drama land, they really, really, really didn't need to break up for the other person to follow their dreams. But I digress. Totally sailed past that one. Oh, thank God, another cliche passed and gone. A few other cliches. Mama's not gonna like the female lead, which again will eventually lead up to a breakup scene. Well, Mama meets female lead and she likes Sojiyu. She doesn't try to push her away. She accepts her. She plays dumb for a little to let her son think that he's getting away with this relationship and not telling her when in fact she actually knows everything. Typical mom style. By the way, just a little side note, I freaking love that Ajuma that plays his mom. She's been in so many dramas lately. Actually, she's recently been in a drama called Phantom Lawyer that I'm watching currently, where she plays the mom. I love that Ajuma. I love her acting. I love her presence in a drama. Anyway, back to what I was saying though, is that you half expect his mom to absolutely despise, which thankfully she doesn't, and the relationship is actually refreshing. Sailed past that issue and that K-drama cliche. Very happy they did that too. It passed so many drama cliches. I was really expecting this to be a breakthrough drama, but then they had to go and ruin it with those last couple of episodes, and I was like, what are you thinking? I'll read exactly what I wrote on my sticky notes. Episode 12. What the actual heck? Not even much relationship time before the breakup. Why? And I'm more like, why? Because I'm so 답답해. I'm so 답답해. I don't understand it. Literally put ugh. Last episode ruined it. You honestly ruined it. Those last couple of episodes really did ruin it. And I know I just talked about not judging the entirety of the drama based off of the last two really aggravating episodes and the fact that the only reason why they come back together at the end is because of the funeral, which honestly didn't need to happen in the first place. That being said, its overall rating for me, storytelling is an 8 out of 10. And yes, I did knock off for storytelling because of the writing. And direction is a 3 out of 5. Moving on. This is a fairly recent drama. It just finished not too long ago. I think it's maybe about a month or so ago, so I'm not too late on this bandwagon, hopefully. But Our Universe, I watched it on, I think, Kokoa. I can't remember exactly. It was either Kokoa or Viki. It's not available on Hulu, Disney Plus, or Netflix. This is a drama that was outside of those platforms, but came across it. I wasn't expecting to watch it. I was kind of just perusing. The concept of it, the synopsis sounded familiar, almost like, what's that one movie with Josh Duhamel? The one where you have two people who were friends of a couple and then the couple dies and they leave their baby with Josh Duhamel, Catherine something. It sounded reminiscent of that, so I was kind of hesitant to watch it, but I gave it a chance anyway. And the first episode, that baby, no more kill. Like, I fell prey to that baby's most adorable face. I fell in love with that baby. And because of that baby, I decided to stick around. Whatever casting director decided to hire this child as the focal point of this drama, props to you, because you made one of the most intelligent moves that you probably are ever going to make in your career. That baby had everybody wrapped around his tiny little fingies, myself included. But on to the actual critique of the drama. Again, this is one of those dramas where a lot of people say that it had so much potential. This could have been the best drama of the year. If only they had a better script, which I agree with. If only. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be very honest. This drama, the only way for it to have made Drama of the Year for 2026, this is even with Uju as a factor. If this were to become drama of the year, you would have had to switch out the main actress and you would have had to switch out the writer. Both were contentions of why this series flopped. Both were mediocre in their performances or in their execution. I'll start with the actress because, again, that's where most of my experience comes from, so I can actually speak from experience. She is one of those actors that I can see potential in. But as she stands right now, she is not the greatest actress, and she could probably use some lessons. She is great in extremes, as in when it comes to those extremely heavy scenes, like when she's crying at the beginning of the drama after her sister dies. Any scene basically where she's crying or having to freak out, she does well in those scenes. She's good in extremes. Where she really lacks is everything else. The love scenes, oh my gosh, she was so freaking stiff. That poor boy was making love to a damn broom. She was so stiff. Her line delivery failed enormously. Her inflection on those line deliveries, it kind of like it's almost like she got actor voice. And actor voice is something that a term that I've coined. It's not a literal term, but basically what actor voice is when people are trying to act or they're trying to portray that they're acting, but failing on the actual acting portion. And you can tell that they're trying to act. That was her. She's not really acting all that well. She's delivering the line. She's got this voice like she's trying to act, and you can tell that she's trying to act. That's the issue I have. She doesn't make me feel like I'm actually there in the moment, especially when it comes to the emotional romance moments. She doesn't make me feel like she's an actual character. Until she gets to those extreme moments, I really don't feel much from her. Her performance falls very flat unless she is crying. And even then, I noticed this toward the end, and I wrote it down with a star and an underline underneath it, so you can tell that I'm very frustrated with this. But enough with the collapses. Do you not know any other physical way to show grief? Every time she was in a scene, if she wasn't already on the floor, the first thing she does is she just drops. She gets that pained look on her face and then whoop, whoop, there she goes to the floor. And then she gets on her knees. She's like, I'm sorry, I really shouldn't laugh, but every single time. Come on, girl. Come on. I know you know how to cry. I know you know how to carry a heavy moment. Get rid of those damn collapses. You collapse way too often. As I stated before, though, she does definitely have potential. She's just not quite there yet. She needs a little more work, a little more experience, and then maybe she'll get there. Now it's on to the other point of contention, which is the writing. And I think this is the largest point of contention for our universe. Why did they spend so freaking long on a useless love triangle? You only had 12 episodes. This wasn't a 16 episode series. And you spent 5 of those 12 episodes not even 5. I would even say 6. You spent 6 out of those 12 episodes with 5 or 4 of those episodes being a heavy focus on the second male lead. That is an extremely long time for you to focus on the second male lead and the love triangle, which I would even argue to say wasn't even much of a love triangle, because they sold the second male lead as a partner way more than they sold the male lead as a partner, which I find absolutely astonishing. It got to the point where I literally had to look at my sister who was watching it with me, and I asked her, I think maybe he's the male lead. Like, that's how confused I was by how much scenes with the female lead together. I honestly thought that man was the lead as a character. Nothing really wrong with him as an actor. He's okay. He's not great. He's okay. Could have been better. Could have been much better. But that being said, I got confused. There should be no question about who is the romantic interest. That being said, the male lead doesn't lose screen time. He definitely has screen time. It's just his screen time with the female lead building up that universe, their universe, i.e., the whole freaking point of the damn series, our universe. They spent very little time actually building up that world because they focused way too much on that love triangle. Writer, you had the basis of a great drama. How many dramas out there have we seen have a child as the focus and the family building of two people who are polar opposites, who don't really know each other, who have to come together to help raise this baby that has been literally thrusted into their life. That is not something you see in dramas often. Again, something that could have been groundbreaking, but the execution was absolute trash. Only saving those moments where they're actually building that universe for the last 2 episodes. By this time, you've already angered most of your audience, some of them to the point where they dropped the drama. You've lost your momentum. Just tell the damn story. What is so hard about that? Get rid of your whole cliches like the love triangles and whatnot. Don't make that as the focus. You had such a good premise for a series, a groundbreaking premise for a series, and you flubbed it up. It flopped because your insistence on focusing on something that was totally irrelevant. Am I saying that it is something that needed to be taken out completely? No, obviously it didn't, because it does actually help the female lead wake up. So it was for a plot point. I get that. I get it. But cut the time. Give me one episode where they talk about her wanting to maybe date this person so that way she can explore. Just shorten it. Now, as for the world building, when you actually get to the freaking world building, brought up 2 issues that could have been major contention points for the series as a plot device to move the story on. One of those reasons being the CPS officers and her actually officially adopting Wooju, because technically she was on a probationary period, which we didn't know about until the very last couple of episodes. Using that as a plot device to move the story on, give it that little bit of angst, because that's perfect. That's perfect fodder for storytelling. Having CPS watching your every move. It could also bring up topics for debate, like when the CPS worker sees Wooju walking around the parking lot and she takes him to the office where he's found again by Hyunjin, which is his aunt, and Taehyung. She doesn't say anything about it. She says, "Oh, it happens. Don't worry about it," because she believes that those are his actual parents. And then when she actually meets her as a client, because she's who's supposed to be evaluating, then it becomes an issue and she's like, "Oh, you're neglecting him." Then it tells her that she's not fit enough to be his guardian. So why is it okay for her to have lost Wooju when she's his actual parent, but not okay when she then becomes your client and you have to evaluate whether she's a fit parent or not? Because I don't get it. I thought it was stupid. So this could have been a great plot device, and you totally flubbed that up too because you shoved it into the last couple of hours, not even hours, into a couple of minutes. I would have enjoyed watching that more than I would have enjoyed watching the second male lead dating her. The other issue I have with the writing and lack of plot device is the point where Wooju runs out of the house and he falls down the stairs, basically in front of the CPS worker. She looks at Hyunjin and immediately says, "Neglect is abuse. You're abusing this child, blah, blah, blah." Like, lady, you legit saw what happened. You saw him run out of the apartment and flumble down the stairs. It is not her fault. I mean, it is a little bit her fault for not paying higher attention to him, but at the same time, she was kind of busy with something else, which again, a parent is likely to do as well. So make it make sense. The CPS worker doesn't even ask questions. She just immediately calls the police and assumes that the child is being abused. Child gets taken away. Just like, are you serious? Another thing that the CPS worker does is when she tells them that they're unfit parents because of the issues that Taehyung has with his father. It's an honest concern. I understand it. I get it. But this is also negating the fact that Taehyung's father is also Wooju's grandfather. Wooju's father was also Taehyung's brother. Therefore, they share the same father. Now, had the mother died and Wooju was left with his father, they wouldn't have even bothered. But because, again, they are adoptive parents, then it becomes an issue, which, again, I don't understand. Okay, now I'm going to get into the staging and blocking and directing. Directing was a hot mess. Definitely could have been better. There were a few scenes that were extremely staged. If this was an actual stage production, I could understand this blocking as passable. I can see that. But the problem is, this is film. This is not stage. And the way film works versus stage are 2 totally different beasts. The reason why it works for stage is because there's certain elements that you cannot get on the stage that lead into realism that you can get with screen. So the way that a few scenes were blocked, and one of the scenes that I'm thinking in particular is when they're at the park, that is way too staged, and you can tell it was staged. The trip when she talks about the CPS interview, that incident, they're sitting on the bench, and even just the way the conversation comes about seems extremely stiff. The blocking and line delivery needed some help. I put it in my notes twice. Works for stage, not for film. I'm actually kind of curious to see if this director has worked previously for the stage, and if he did or she did, then I could understand the way things were blocked. But at the same time, it's not stage. This is film, and it looks awkward in film. So learn your mediums, whatever you are. Okay, so as for the official overview, it is a 60% for storytelling. Most of that is, yes, due to the acting and sometimes even the music. There was some serious moments. You had very light, campy music in the background, totally killed the vibe of the serious moment. And the writing in general totally missed its mark. Enjoyable to watch, not as a second time, and the only reason why I finished was because of that little boy. And I honestly think that the rating on my drama list, which is a 7 something, it's a pretty high score. I think that is way too generous of a score for this drama. It was not that great of a drama. It scored higher than Surely Tomorrow, and Surely Tomorrow was definitely executed better. If I'm being gracious, maybe I'll give it a 62%. That's the highest I can ever give this drama. For direction, is a 2 out of 5. And I did only give the director a 1 out of 5 score for this, and the editing a 1 out of 5, which is extremely low for me. Not the greatest drama, not well executed, and had so much potential, which is sad. That is it for me today. I am done talking and spilling about my 3 dramas. It is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming, Chingu. I hope I can hear from you soon. Bye!